Hello, I'm Mary V. Today, let's talk about what it's like starting to play with orchestras. So when you first get a chance to play a huge symphony like Beethoven 5 or Rachmaninoff 2 with a big symphony orchestra, it's so thrilling. It's absolutely unbelievable playing these very, very famous pieces. It's kind of unreal. And there's a tremendous power in there coming from the brass section, from the woodwind, and just the sheer number of strings and the choir. It's like nothing else. Of course, there are a few aspects of it which you don't really think about before you do it. One is that it's incredibly difficult to hear what you're actually playing. Mostly you're playing by feel and you don't know if it's exactly in tune. So that can be quite a surprise until you kind of get used to that feeling. One thing about working with orchestras is that you have to get used to all different kind of things. You have to be very, very flexible because one conductor can ask you to play the same Mozart in a completely different way. And you've got to be able to change what you're doing. But one advantage of being a freelance and an extra, which is the people who don't have a job with the orchestra but fill in the back desks and they're freelancers, is that it gives you a tremendous ability to have a lot of experience. You know, you can freelance with this orchestra, fit in with that one, and you can do an awful lot of different things. In fact, that's what I did. I did a lot of amateur orchestras, chamber orchestra, opera, and orchestral symphony orchestras. So I did a lot of that, freelancing, and I would have a tremendous variety. When you're younger, try to play in as many orchestras as you can in school, youth orchestras, college, and also different groups. Because it may be that a chamber orchestra suits you down to the ground rather than a big symphony orchestra, which is what happened to me. I don't enjoy not being able to hear what I'm doing and just be part of a whole thing. I just want to be making music in a smaller group, and that really suits my playing, and it suits my personality as well. So in order to find that out, I wouldn't say that any of the experiences that I had in the bigger orchestras was wasted. No, not at all. Not at all. First of all, learning how to sight read is an incredible thing. I remember the first time I went into the BBC as a young freelance player. And the first day there, I was completely overwhelmed by the sight reading. The sheer variety and difficulty of the sight reading was quite astonishing. It knocked me for six. Everyone was sight reading in 5 flats and up the string and doing it very fast. I couldn't do that. So, but I was able to take the parts away overnight, and then in the rehearsal I was a little bit more up on it. But as far as sight reading goes, you get thrown into it. It's baptism by fire, and you end up being able to sight read. It's an incredible thing. You sight read because you have to, and you learn how to do it. You learn to take in chunks of music, and then you also learn to look ahead a little bit. It's an amazing skill, and Thomas Beecham actually said that British orchestras are the best in the world at sight reading, and I can believe it because it's absolutely incredible. So that's something that you're thrown into, and you've just got to learn to do. You've got to learn to blend. You've got to learn to adapt. It's amazing. Also, I think for a woman in orchestras, it can be quite tough. It's a very competitive environment. You've got to hold your own. And there's a kind of scramble to the front. You know, I've talked about the extras who are at the back, but among the people who have jobs in the organisation or the orchestra, there's quite a lot of wanting to get to the front, to the leader's position. And it's certainly a lot easier to play there. You know, it's almost like playing chamber music. And I think a lot of women at first are a little bit softer, and they need to toughen up in order to get where they need to be and deserve to be. There's sometimes sexism, there's sometimes a little bit of attitude about women, so we don't put up with that really. But I think it's been quite tough for women to sort of really hold their own in orchestras. I mean, consider just a short while ago there were orchestras with only men in it. So that's not right, is it? I remember being in a group where just by chance the majority of the group was women, and it's a real highlight, that tour. The harmony, the music making was fantastic, and we could leave all that dumb competitiveness behind. No matter who you are, no matter, if you're a man or a woman or whatever, you have to be able to play with others and also stand out and hold your own and keep your confidence. I mean, sometimes some of the worst times that you experience in an orchestra is right at the back. You can't hear anything. Everyone's playing very quietly. There's no support. Everyone's, a little bit outside the main body of the music, the sound. And it feels like you can't really play. It's kind of a horrible feeling. But if you can play and find a way to do it, it just makes you stronger. It really does. One thing that you have to do is bring a pencil, bring your own pencil, and transmit the messages that are coming from the front, from the leader, to the people around you, the back desks, and be very helpful that way. It really does help. So you can see some people not bothering to do that. Well, no one really gets on with them, and it's a real block for the music. When I was younger, I was at college, and someone dropped out of the chamber opera group that was going to perform, and they asked me to come in and stand in for them because they weren't going to be able to do it. I really thrived in this environment of the chamber orchestra. That made me realize that thriving like that, loving the music, loving the sound that we were all able to make together in that small group. I think it was 2 firsts, 2 seconds, 1 viola and 1 cello. Oh, it was just so different from the struggles of playing in the symphony orchestra. It was very, very rewarding. So that set me on a course, realizing that chamber orchestras were my thing, smaller chamber groups. So even if I was playing in a symphony orchestra or a big opera orchestra, where because of under the stage, it's actually very, very difficult to hear anything. It doesn't matter. All the experience of, for example, working with singers and starting to breathe along with them, which is a fantastic thing to learn to do with the music. It's very, very good for a musician to get out of their comfort zone and be able to do anything that you're asked to do. Of course, eventually you end up where you really, really want to be, and that's fantastic. But all your experience really helps you when, by the time you get to where you want to be, you've got a tremendous amount of experience to be strong and to be able to keep going and also be adaptable, be able to blend in and also hold your own and play out. So the art of playing in orchestras is a little bit more than sitting there just playing the same as everyone else. Is not quite it. It's a very exciting prospect when you're at the beginning of your career. You've got all these experiences ahead of you, and you can pick and choose, and you can know that every time you engage with the music and you have this experience, it's making you into a better musician, and that'll lead you to where you need to be eventually. So I hope that's helped you, and I'll say bye-bye for now. Bye.